All right, let's go ahead and get this February 2nd Town Council work session started. It is a little after 7. Sorry for the delay. We're going to call to order and a pledge. Start with that. And would like to do, since Kristen is out in the front row, I'd like her to lead the way for the Pledge of Allegiance. I know.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Great job. All right. Move right into public comments. The town of North Beach welcome public comments. Please state your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Good evening.
Elizabeth Lawton, 9232 Erie Avenue. You have in front of you my questions, so I'll just summarize, make it short. We've had several questions that we put to council. We just want to find out when we're going to get an answer. And then the other 2 questions have multiple parts, and they're specific to something that you're going to discuss tonight anyway. I just had multiple questions from multiple residents about this topic, so I said, okay, fine. I'll be the person to stand up and ask the questions. So looking forward to your answers. You all should have it in your box. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other? Anybody online? All right, let's move on. We're going to start with item number 3, business items. A, dogs on the beach during winter month, October through April. You do have inside of your package Article 2, dogs. It's 26-3, dogs running at large and dogs on the sand beach, dangerous animals, chapter 26. This was brought up by Councilman Dotson. So what I'd like to do is turn it over to Councilman Dotson to lead the way, if he doesn't mind. Thank you, sir.
Hello, everyone. So I had mentioned this to my fellow council members. I've been approached by several dog owners about dogs on the beach. And so I figured I'd bring this up to the council so we could discuss it and see whether we wanted to try to move forward on this. Some of the things I thought about, and by the way, I did speak with Phil about this and explain to him what I was thinking about doing. And he said he had no objections to it. The only recommendation he suggested was try to limit it to town residents. So I told him I'm not sure if we could do that. That might be a little tough to do, but we would discuss it. So some of the thoughts were for this to be on the north side of the Welcome Center, since we have the playground on the south side or whatever with the boat, that would allow families to still come over there and play on the south side of the Welcome Center. We would probably need to add a couple more doggy disposable pickup bags, poop bags on the inside, maybe one on the corner by Hatch's Corner heading toward Atlantic, and maybe another one over by the pump house. Dogs would be required to be on leash, not running wild, because that would not be a good thing. And if your dog is to go out in the water, again, has to be on a leash. You can have those retractable leash. So that's what I do when I take my dog to a beach, other than North Beach, of course. I have him on one of those retractable leashes so he can go out and I can still keep control of him. And this will be from October into April. I figured during that time, that might be the best time to do it because that's the off season. And Phil said he didn't have an issue with that. The month of May would give them time for any urine that may be out there to be taken care of by the sun, by Mother Nature, and they would just drag it and everything should be fine by Memorial Day. So I'm throwing this out there. I welcome comments. suggestions. This is just a discussion right now. I figure we got time to go over this a few times and we could put it in play this fall. And we could try it out for maybe a couple of months and see how it goes. And if it goes well, then we'll just push it until April. I don't think we should have a cost associated with it. But as long as your dog is licensed and he's on a leash, I think it should. So that's it. So anyone with comments, please speak up, suggestions.
Just a clarification, you said put it in place this fall. Did you mean this winter?
2023, October 2023.
Oh, okay, so not, okay.
Yeah.
Other than that, no, I don't have any concerns.
So I know we do have this ordinance here. I have not, to be honest with you, I have not taken a chance to look through this, but I figured that we'll have plenty of time to look through this, try to get this into place and pass or amend or pass the ordinance or whatever we need to do to make this happen. So if everyone could, thank you for pulling this up. So if we could all just take a look at this and over the summer, if we could have this in place, hopefully in the month of August, I think this would be hopefully we could get it done by then. And that way we'll have it on a trial basis come October. And if it works out, people pick up behind themselves, then we can go forward. If not, then we can definitely squash it. So
And
that
we're
was it.
looking like October 1st to like April 31st,
30th.
April 30th or 31st.
Don't add that first on there.
Okay, yeah, so it's okay, yes, we're looking like the whole month of October and the whole month of April.
And I've just,
I mean, like I said, I brought that up the field, but this morning, he had no objection to it, but if he feels different otherwise, then we can always change it and just cut it off on like mid-April. And that give us six weeks to get everything together. So not tied to that, we can adjust it however we feel like we needed to adjust it.
Well, we could probably put it, if we did redo the ordinance there, put it in like a time, like not put the time in stone in the ordinance, sort of have it like at discretion or set yearly or something, maybe.
Yeah, and we'll definitely do an information campaign about this, about the importance of, using the poop bags, cleaning up behind your animals. And I know we have a problem already trying to enforcing our parking rules, because I don't think any tickets have been written by the sheriff department since I've been living here since 2005. But so I'm not sure if we want to try to put any kind of enforcements like that on it, but maybe just probably ban them from the beach if they're not complying. But again, we got plenty of time to discuss this and see how we want to handle violators.
well, just reading it over, it's the last two sentences in paragraph A
Mhm.
is what it is. I know this particular ordinance quite well since I was the one
Uh-huh.
who drafted the dangerous animal one a couple of years back, and here we are revisiting it 10 years later.
Yep.
I'm in favor of this. I mean, you could go up to, I think Brownie Beach, they allow the dogs on and off season. Quiet Waters Park up there, it's got a whole beach that is for
Yep.
dogs throughout the year.
Yep.
And you go up and down the East Coast, you'll find, many beaches will say between what you're talking about, October to April, dogs are allowed on the beach that they can go with them. So I think we're just in keeping with everybody else, and I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
I would say that the whole ordinance really needs to be looked at, not just the dogs on the beach, but the dangerous dogs, because in here it talks about the Town and North Beach Animal Control Committee.
Oh, yeah.
But,
So I think we need
but
to-
at least it
Does
doesn't
say
that
appeal
it
board.
becomes Board of Appeals.
You're absolutely right.
Like it at least said who it is right off the bat.
I can tell you this was written 10 years ago, and this is the first time it's been talked about in 10 years. So,
Oh, yeah.
but having said that, Greg, I appreciate this, and we will. Obviously, I'm with Phil pretty much every day. and we talk about it, and we've talked about this already. We talked about it like when we do our campfires. All, I think it's a great idea to try and just monitor it. After being mayor for 4 years, going through what we go through down there, I'm a little cynical on the other side going, here we go. But I think it's worth it. Now, enforcement is going to be tough. In all season, we have 2.5 staff members, and we really won't be able to enforce it. So it's going to have to be an honor system. I like the north side unless they go underneath the pier, but for the most part, and then when the horseshoe crabs come in, we have to do something with that. So I think getting updates, regular updates from Phil every month about the situation, if he sees it's getting out of control. Right now, we still have problems with people allowing their dogs to walk into fire bids and relieve themselves. So I think let's give it a shot. Let's work on it. Let's take the time to clean this ordinance up at the same time. And then we'll see what happens. So I appreciate you bringing this up. Any other question?
Just what's the process? What are the next steps?
The next step is coming up with the information paper, talking about the how we want this to work, going through the ordinance here, explaining where the bags are going to be and people required, what the rules are, cleaning up behind your animals, what time, what the hours. We're going to have to set hours too, because we don't want anyone just coming out there, anytime. I think we should set hours. Sure. Okay.
Excuse me. We can internally start some stuff.
Okay.
And then get it to the council. Then y'all can, with the help of Karen, we can get it going. And then y'all can look at it and add and delete and go from there.
Yeah, and I've already started working on like an informational paper, something that we'll need to get out to everyone before we start the process, if we approve it,
Absolutely.
so that everybody will be educated on what's about to take place and what's required for them if they want to participate in having their dog on the beach.
I would add one more thing, please. When we do the education thing, we when we talk about our beach, we have 3 beaches.
Mhm.
And naturally people go always to the South Beach. They instinctively migrate that way. So, we do have signs there now, which Marlena appreciates, but I'm not sure people read them. But the point is that when you continue to figure out the educational part,
I envision this being having a map and indicating exactly where
Cool.
they should be at. So there's no confusion about where they should be at.
All right, council, y'all have any other questions? Karen, do you want to add anything?
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks,
All right,
Council.
thank you.
We'll
right.
continue to work it.
Let's move on to item number 2. Is the Town of North Beach purchasing policy ordinance. I'm going to tag team this with Donnie Bone with his microphone that's going to be pulled close to him. And so give y'all an overview, and y'all hear this a lot from us. So in the chapter 18th of the town code, back in 2013, the town increased the purchasing policy from 7,500 to 15,000. Since then, the world's been turned upside down. We are struggling with contractors showing up. We are struggling with getting numbers, but we work hard to get multiple numbers for everything we do, even though it's below 15,000. Donnie Bone and myself, when it comes to DPW, even with Phil, even with staff, we want to make sure that we're getting the most bang for our buck, even though it's under 15 or whatever the number is. We have many examples of that we could talk to about one day, recent ones too. But as we know, inflation has gone up, but also the inflation that you see out there is a national number. It is not a Calvert County number. It is not a Maryland number. It's a national number. And what we're finding is that we got an email the other day from our HVAC company that prices are going to go up 30%. We are hearing that across the board on many items. So what we're presenting to the council tonight for y'all to discuss, and if we need multiple discussion, that's fine. Just so you'd realize it's not about just the national inflation. It's about Calvert County and Maryland's inflation and us just getting the jobs done in a timely manner. What we're proposing, what we're asking from the council is to approve a small increase from 15,000 to 25,000. This will assist us when we're procuring contracts, but also getting equipment. We saw a major delay on the waterfront with the pumps and so forth because of this. And from what I'm hearing from most of our contractors, it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. So I wanted to throw that out there. Donnie, Director, you have anything you'd like to add, or did I steal your thunder?
You covered a lot of it, but I'd just like to add, like you said, to get stuff done in a timely manner now. We're not trying to do this to rush through the process or do anything wrong. We always look out for the best interest in the town. But now with the inflation, like the pumps, just for one example, we priced them back when we formed a flood committee, and they were around $40,000. And by the time we purchased them a year and a half later, they were at $60,000. So just that alone went up $20,000. So like the mayor saying in general, and what we find a lot of times now is if we put out an RFP and we lose contractors instead of gain them. Sometimes on a big project, we'll gain them. But if it's a borderline project and the margin's small, profit small, say if you're doing like for instance, a $30,000 project and you want to put out an RFP and go through all that, it costs the company, their estimator has to come out, they have so much overhead. They have so much overhead to take a chance on making, money on a 30, maybe $10,000 in profit. So we don't get people to bid because it's going to be so close. It's not worth it to them because it's a lot of work going on. Contractors are getting hard to find. So that's kind of the problem we run into on the smaller items that are around from the $15,000 to $30,000 range. That's why, and like I say, what you used to be able to get done, any of you have had work done at your house recently? No, what you used to be able to get done for $5 might cost you $10 now. So that's why we're trying to look just to make it, and we will continue to get prices before we do anything like we always do if we were able to raise this. Right now, we'll always get 2 or 3 prices, even if it's below the 15,000, to make sure we're getting the best price for the town. But we're finding costs in general, it just went up so much that 15 doesn't cover a whole lot anymore. So we'd appreciate the council just to take that into consideration, and please feel free to ask questions.
Council, what questions y'all have?
How long has this been at 15?
2013 maybe.
2013.
Yeah, it was 7,500 and
It
we
was
went to
75.
we went to 15 and we found that to be, it really helped us out as far as getting stuff done.
And to,
Yeah, since 2013.
and to do the simple math, I mean, the last time we did it, we doubled it. This time it's 2/3 increase, so it's not even doubling it. So, and right, just, I mean, even if you go with the national number and
Right.
Inflation, it's still very reasonable number to increase it to. So,
Yeah, but it's not so much about inflation, it's about accountability. No, the federal government was at, I think, 2,500 or 3,000 for like decades. It just recently pushed it up to, I believe, 10,000. So, and I have to abide by those rules whenever I'm trying to get something done at work. But, for those that are on the council back then, I had a problem with that back then and I voted against it. So you have to be careful when you start, and I say what I said back then. This is nothing personal, not accusing anyone, not thinking anyone is doing anything that they shouldn't be doing. It's just that there has to be some controls in place. And there's a reason why you have to do a bid process. And if those people choose not to bid for it, then, that's on them. I understand we have to get work done, but we're starting to creep higher and higher and higher. So, I said something about the contracts. So if that person decides that they don't want to bid on the contract, or if there's a contract that's smaller than that, then how do you go out and get the people to do the work? you just go out and hire somebody and cut them a check? Without,
Right now, we
without a
always-
bid process? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, right now, we always get 2 competitive bids. Even, we try to get at least 3 competitive bids, but the problem we run into when we put it out to bid is that, we have to put an RFP out. So then you got 2 weeks. Then we have to wait for results to come in. Then we review the results. And then by the time we get it to council, it might be 2 to 3 months before we actually talk about actually doing the work. And by the time, if a contractor's gonna make a small amount of money, sometimes they don't bid because that's a 3-month process before they even try to get that into their window. If you follow me, like, if they know the job's coming up in a couple of weeks, they say, yeah, we got a crew available, we know what's going on. But if you talk about putting out an RFP, waiting for the RFP to come back in, waiting for the review, waiting for the council to approve the, if we come and recommendation to y'all, and then we have another meeting, so it might be 2 or 3 months before that job would even get approved. And then the contractor has to work that into their schedule, that could be 4 months away. When we're trying to get a job done, it's $20,000. Sometimes we run into issues because, it's not worth it for them to wait around to try to do a job that size.
Well, if we need to get a contract approved, then we can just call a meeting.
That would,
We don't have to do meetings once a month. If we need to call a special meeting, we can do it and approve a contract. There's nothing precludes us from doing that. So, look, I say what I said the last time. I have no druthers about doing something like this, but if the council push forward with it, then obviously it is what it is. So that's my 10 cents.
Any other input from the council? Again, tonight's about discussion. Nothing else?
Is anything coming to mind recently that was close to or just under this 25, but above the 15? I'm just trying to think of a recent example of one that would have been sped up by increasing the amount.
we did have a couple projects where we went to try to put up fences, just like a simple fence around the pump station, and we're dividing material going up. It went up to, like $17,000. So then that delayed it for about, and then the availability of material was
Shit,
another
okay.
thing. So we had like a 6-month wait on the material. So we, that just kind of dragged out and wound up being an 8-10 month project trying to get a fence done. But we were lucky enough in that case where we, all the three contractors we had were over the price. We were gonna get, put out an RFP for the specs that we had for that job. But we found one more contractor, we repriced it and he was under a couple, because I think during COVID, everything went up, like, plastic went up, everything went out of sight. But it creeped back down a little bit and the supply chain loosened up a little bit on that. So we were lucky enough that he, met it underneath that. But that was just one example I can think of that, to go out, do a simple job, thinking it'll take 2 or 3 weeks, took 8 months to get accomplished.
Your contractors have a time where the contract is good for, like, this contract is good for up to 30 days.
Usually 30 or 60 days. We
Okay.
put in their bids, when they turn in the bids will be up. But that's another problem nowadays that we're finding, because they won't even guarantee the PVC pipe and electrical conduit was jumping so much that they only want to guarantee for 14 days. So that's another, you bring up
So
a
they
good point,
change it.
because when
Because
you're
I've
trying to,
noticed some of that on ours too.
right, when you're trying to price a job and they know it's going to be 3 or 4 months down the road, the price will be higher because they want to cover themselves. So instead of giving you a fair price, you might get an inflated price just because
Right.
they're trying to protect yourself because the cost going up.
Exactly.
Greg
Okay.
hit on something where I kind of like to bring up to the council too, if we kind of could work in a way to maybe even have a preferred contractors list. That might be an option that we could think about, so we won't have to bid out each job. If we have contractors in a special fields, then we could do a preferred contractor list, but I don't know how. That might get confusing also, but at least,
I think the process is fine. It's just, right now we're going through, the last couple of years has been tough. And it's not getting better. If you're in my industry, you'll know it's not getting better. And the whole goal for this was not to speed up things and make it faster and is miss anything. It's just that most things now are just not, they're above the $15,000. So RFP numbers will double and triple. So staff hours will go up and so forth, which is fine. We're, you know, I understand the part of oversight, which I think we do a very good job with that now, but you know, this is for discussion. So get out, you know, your questions, think about it. There's no decision tonight. We're just talking about it tonight. And then, you know, get us some questions if you have any, or meet with Donnie Bowen or meet with staff over the, you know, and this is not going to happen tonight or next week or next month. So this is all about the start of the conversation. Any other conversation before we move on? Oh, thank you. All right, let's move on to the water and sewer policy. If you want to fall asleep, this is the time. We have staff and I have met a lot. Rick from zoning, Donnie from DPW, Kelly from water and sewer billing, Stacy, myself, Joanne, our treasurer. And if you look at the old one you have two copies. You have the old one dated 1991. The date is not wrong. It's not a misprint. It is 1991. So this is one of our remaining documents are dated 1991. So what we submitted to you to review is two docs. You have the old one, and then you have the one that has been changed. It is on board docs for people to read it. What I want to do now is just point out the high level changes that are extremely important. And we went over this. We actually started laughing because we just went through every line, every word, everything to make sure that when we presented it, things lined up and it made sense. And I think we hit it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my best to help you out, get to the right pages. So page 7. Now, this manual has a direct impact on our new, not the old, the new. I'm going to show you, I'm going to tell you on the new, I apologize, what we made changes on. This manual has a direct impact on the water and sewer plant in Chesapeake Beach. Some of these changes are because they are required to be a partner of that plant. There are 4 partners in that plant. There's Chesapeake Beach, Calvert County, North Beach, and Anne Arundel County. Anne Arundel County has a force main that goes through our town. And then Calvert County is everything west of Greenwood Avenue that comes into our town. And they hit our 4 pump stations. If you ever want to take a tour of them, let us know. So some of these changes are beyond required. They have to happen. There's no conversation. And some of it has to do with restaurants. But just so y'all know, you might hear words thrown out, EDU. EDU is currently 200 gallons per residential and 190 gallons per commercial. And that's the water and sewer that is going from our town to Chesapeake Beach. What I will tell you is the water plan that we all put in place many years ago and that we continue to work on has had a major positive effect on our EDU numbers. Major. Right now, our average for a residential EDU flow is 140
130, so about 130.
gallons.
What the mayor speaking of, not to interrupt you, is that 200 gallon and 190 gallon, that's an engineer's estimate on what they figure out an average household will use per day. That's an engineering estimate, not an actual number. And what he's speaking of now is an actual use number by putting our conservation plan in effect. So we're way under the engineering estimate.
It has worked wonderful. And what we found is individuals are more concerned about their garden hose running. They're more concerned about their toilets running. The number one issue for individuals with high water bills is their toilet. So if you know a neighbor that has a high water bill, we have a 5-point check the DPW can come out and do. It's all documented in our GIS system. And 100% of the time, we find the issue within their household. 100% of the time, not 99, 100% of the time. And it's because that little toilet, that dishwasher, that sink, it doesn't seem like a lot. But our new water meters are so accurate that you can see a drip when you turn it on. The reason I bring that up is because all of that affects what goes on with the wastewater treatment plant. Go to page 14, please, of the new doc. And again, you're more than welcome to read all of this at your leisure. Page 14, these are the big changes we made. And again, not all of it's been changed, but some of the others. So section 1.4, collection and billing for water and sewer. What I did was we wanted to make it black and white, not gray. And what you'll see is black and white documentation. There is no gray area. There's no confusion. It's right here. And it talks about the billing period. It talks about how we implemented door tags for this, and they work probably better than anything else we do. So when initial mail out goes out in letter or electronic, because we now allow electronic billing. So you don't have to get paper. We are electronic. You can do electronic, you can do paper. But when the bill is not received, Kelly produces a list and it goes to Department of Public Works and they door tag. And that list is dramatically reduced the minute those door tags hit. Our goal is not to cut off people's water. That's not what we want to do, but it's a utility fund. We don't have the luxury to say, nope, don't worry about that, because we get billed directly from the wastewater treatment plant. Plus the upkeep and the minimum charges is what they are. So one thing you'll see in here, we added about the door tags being hung. As you continue to go down, we put in writing a payment plan. So if somebody needs a payment plan, what is a payment plan? Payment plan is for 90 days. So you just have to be current by the next billing period. We also have on our website, I don't know how many, Stacy might, but like 5 or 6 places families can go to get assistance for their water and sewer bills. So also we do it in our water bill. I mean, we've gone way above and beyond to make sure our residents are taken care of. As you continue down, credit requests due to leak. A typical response is, oh my gosh, it leaked. I can't afford it. Can you just give us a break? Well, here's the problem with that. If that water goes into the sewer line, and we have an expert here, Donnie Bowen is an expert at this. There's a bill coming from Chesapeake Beach to the town of North Beach. Now, if the water goes into the ground, like we had 5 houses that Chris Hardesty and I went to on Friday, him and I went to. 4 were broken pipes, frozen underneath the house. And it's been running for 90 days. The 5th one was a toilet. The toilet was running, and what we can do is do a 45-day check and see the flow of it. Now, what we implemented after Friday with the support of DPW is now, even though we bill once a quarter, we're going to read once a month. In this way, if there's a leak, we can catch it in 30 days versus 90 days, so our residents don't get this massive bill. Now our system is amazing now. And between Chris and Kelly, they're on top of it. And every house is documented in our GIS system. But I went out there personally with them to look at it. And then the house that had the broken toilet, I actually was talking to her at Sneed's trying to figure out what she can pick out for her toilet. The problem with a toilet, if it leaks on that, it goes into the drain and goes to Chesapeake Beach. They don't give credits, just so y'all know. If y'all wonder if they give credits, they don't give credits. That means North Beach is going to pay that bill no matter what. So what we did was we put in writing what we can do and what we can't do. So there's nobody come back. So, well, you showed favoritism. You didn't. No. It's right here. It's black and white. There's no gray area. All right, that's page 14. And again, these are the high level changes. There's a lot of other little changes that we're gonna, that were made. Keep going. I apologize. I'm going to get to the one that impacts us besides just the residents, but impacts us as a town. All right, go to page 28. 28. And again, please feel free. You can read this whole book. It's on board docs. Residents can read it. Knock yourself out. All right, section 9.3, grease, oil, and interceptors. DB, that's grease traps, right?
Correct, sir.
All right, so that's a grease trap. That's the official name. Per our agreement with the wastewater treatment plant, also for some locations, I'm not, different tap parts around town, we have families that have a major grease issue in their life.
Mm.
And they are clogging our drains. And the other ones are clogging with wipes. The reason why I bring up, and rags, we do have a lot of rags coming out from a subdivision on the west side. I'm not going to bring up Ken right now. But he's working with his HOA, and then we have Burn Oaks over here. So, well, kind of. But the point is the grease. The grease is mainly produced by the restaurants. So we need to put something in writing, a stick to make sure these restaurants are doing what they're supposed to do. One is, at any given time, DPW can do an inspection with their grease trap at any given time with notice. The second part is that they need to be pumped out, emptied, at least a minimum of once a year, if not more, based upon the contract with the company. And the other one is they have to have them inspected once a quarter. Now, this is not really new stuff, but what's new is the stick, because we get pushback. And this is not a cost to them. They're already doing it. But with our agreement with the wastewater treatment plant, we have to produce that information to show it's being done. Grease and wipes will shut down the wastewater treatment plant. It is not a game. It is not a joke. WSSC spends millions of dollars a year cleaning out wipes. I can tell you, because I've done many I haven't done it. I've been there while they did the work. Let me rephrase that. I didn't do the work. DPW did the work. But snaking out our drain lines because of grease, because of wipes. And if you get our text messages and emails, you see the photos. So that is another big improvement right there on page 28. As you continue, it continues to go through. Also, it's going to be a tag team. It's going to be Kelly, or water billing, and DPW working hand to hand to get these businesses to produce information. It is not a please, it's a requirement. We have to have it. They already do it. We just need to make sure they're doing it.
Why is that DPW versus like code enforcement?
Because DPW works directly with these businesses when it comes to their storm drains and their sewers. So he has the utmost knowledge. So when he goes out there and he looks, he can actually decide what is right and what's wrong.
Okay.
And code does not. Code can tell you there's something wrong and then call Donnie. Well, let's just cut to the chase. We're going to have DPW with Kelly. Kelly's more of the paper person, and then DPW is the
Technical
knowledge.
experts in the, yeah, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right.
A
Thank you.
quick question
Yes.
that's related. Why are the inspections announced?
Because we're working with we don't care if they just do, we just want them done. We're not trying to catch them. What we're trying to do is just make sure it's done. So we want to work with the restaurants. And if they do it every quarter, like we ask, and every quarter they're right, man, high five. That's all we want, is that it's done. We're not looking to penalize anybody, but we need it done. So if the notices will help them get it done, then we accomplished our goal.
Yeah, and sorry, I was thinking of something else. The inspections, the quarterly ones, did you want that done internal or did you want that done for the pump out companies?
No, from the pump out company.
Okay, I would say because like at my work, I have a grease trap that gets pumped out, and right now they're having to take it up to Philly because the place in Baltimore is not accepting grease.
Yeah. So
And they give me a ticket that more or
Yes,
less
they do.
says like, hey, we pumped it out. This is what we pumped out. And they make notes on the grease trap.
that's what we want. That's all we want.
So, and I know in Annapolis, I'm pretty sure that pump out company there actually submits it to Annapolis City. I think the city up there has stricter controls on that versus where I'm in Anne Arundel.
Carroll County does have a grease, down in Solomon's at the wastewater plant, they accept grease there too.
Oh,
So any
nice.
of our
Okay.
local contractors can take it to
Okay.
there, so it's no.
So our goal is just to get them to do it.
Okay.
Our goal is to get the documentation so we can submit it to, we have quarterly meetings with our partners. So what we want to do is when we go to this meeting, we have our flow meters, we have our rain gauge, we have our amount of water being used. We want this to show that we're doing everything we can as a town to protect our wastewater treatment plant. And that's all this is. So the changes that you saw, those are high level. There are some little other ones, grammatical and different things like that. Please review it. Get back any changes you see that you think needs to be done, and we'll make the changes and bring it back to you. I know of one, we're gonna go and take care of now. But other than that, what other questions y'all have?
So, what other changes? Did you take any big sections out or add any big other sections, even if they're non-substantive?
No.
It's pretty much the same.
It's the same. We changed some wording around. We added that one part about the payment plan. And then we added the part about the water cutoff for the businesses. Other than that, it was just cleaning it up.
Yeah.
it was
looks-
nothing-
It looks a lot better.
Right,
yeah.
because when you compare the two, you'll see they're very similar, except now it's 2013 versus 1991.
Did you, Donnie, I think we talked about this a little bit, but did you, is there a section where the environmental statute regulations, federal, state, or local? Is there a section in this I couldn't find it, or is it just spread throughout the document? Reference to
It's probably-
NPDES
It's a
and,
good idea that we could put a reference, like a reference section for that, you mean?
well, I wanted to just go, just because I have experience in it, I just wanted to go through and just check
Right.
to make sure that the updates that, reflect current Clean Water Act.
To, affect
Nifty's
the-
law,
yeah,
whatever.
EPA and
But I
whatever.
couldn't, it wasn't easy to find, but maybe it's just because it's spread throughout the document.
As long as we make it where it says, follow current regulations and not,
Right.
because if we make it say something particular,
Yeah.
any changes has to come back.
Oh,
We gotta
so
go
it's
through a
not
whole
that
process.
specific,
No,
reference
yeah.
to,
Reference to Clean Water Act
Okay.
2013.
okay,
We were trying not to have to bring it back up to
Yeah,
the
no,
council every
that's-
time a little change, so we could have
Okay.
kind of generalized that stuff.
that's fine. It
Yeah.
just,
No, perfect. Just take a look at it and let
Okay.
us know. Any other changes?
Question for the, still on the grease trap. Is that quarterly being pressed down from Chesapeake Beach from them, or is that just what we picked for quarterly?
Now, that's kind of a standard practice, but it is also being pressed down.
Okay, I just
We're
curious
following
on.
them, and then kind of to follow up a little bit on that, not to talk too much about it, but the what you were talking about, Lauren, like a 24-hour notice and all, if we find we have a problem in the line south or downstream from a restaurant or establishment, even though they're sending their paperwork saying they're doing it every quarter, that's when we would pop in and do a inspection, because like you say you're doing it, but we have a clog here, we had to jet this line, we had to do whatever, so then we're gonna go there and, back up. They have a contractor, they're gonna send it every quarter, they're required to send it
Right.
to Kelly, like the mayor said, and, we're good faith, believing they're gonna do it, but we have an issue, then that's where we're gonna go back to the restaurant and say, hey, look, we're having issues, let me see your statements again. Obviously, you didn't get it clean, we have an issue.
oh, so that's kind of like an unannounced inspection, really.
Yeah.
So
that's where-
like
That's where. DPW
scofflaw restaurants, you
Right.
could potentially, you're not restricted to announced inspections.
Not if there's an emergency.
Yeah.
That's considered an emergency.
Yeah.
And if there's a
Okay.
clog, all hands on
Yeah.
deck at that point.
Okay.
Especially if we identify it coming from that
Yeah.
establishment, so if it's right there, something like that.
And just one more quick, just, in order to go through it, can you provide a Word version so we can search on words? Just put it somewhere so we can, because it's PDF now.
And also each week you'll see 2 DPW staff members out there cleaning manhole. One thing we do that you don't see in our neighboring areas is every week, and we have caught some major issues and clogs. Every week we clean out, there's a specific amount of manhole covers that we know those areas are prominent for grease or rags. And every week his staff goes out and he cleans them out. And then outside of that, on a regular basis, we look at all manhole covers and to find if there's a new one that needs to be added to the list. And they've saved some major issues when the water was, they do a great job with that. So I think we do everything we can to make sure we don't get a phone call that there's sewer running down the street. So, any other questions?
And the grease trap can goes a long ways in helping
Absolutely.
all that stuff, so that's why it's
I-
so important to get.
I
this
will say now with the county mandating 2,000-gallon grease traps, and some businesses may or may not be heavy grease loading businesses, that quarterly pump out may be a burden.
It's not pumped out.
That's
It's,
not
I know,
inspection,
just an inspection, so I
Right.
just, I don't know how. So again, more or less, when I get pumped out, they're inspecting it anyway, because I know my pump outs are, I need mine every 4 months.
Yeah.
Based on the place I work, I know
It-
when mine fall.
Right,
so-
and if the company comes back and documents, hey, I'm XYZ licensed, bought, insured,
Yeah.
and this is what we recommend, we're fine going with what they recommend, but
Okay,
they need to have a company tell us that in writing with their letterhead, their law,
Okay.
their insurance, not just them waking up.
okay, it just,
Yep.
like mandating that court, it was just,
Yeah, it's once a year. It's just inspected quarterly.
Okay,
but it's not pumped out. you know,
okay.
If, it doesn't have to be.
All right. Any other questions before we move on?
Yeah, quick question, Tony. So Appendix A is showing the EDUs.
Yeah.
Where did this list come from? Is like based on some sort of,
So formula to figure it out, EDU.
yeah, because
that's
it seems
one
like
that-
somewhat random here, like what I'm even seeing on this list, like
Wastewater.
a
treatment
theater of 100 seats. I don't.
plant. Wastewater treatment plant. The partners,
Yeah, the partners.
They've
use
come up with that
sheet,
list?
so we-
that's the original one that was signed, your Lord knows how long ago, but that's the one that we all follow. But all 3 or 4, Calvert County, Anne Arundel, us and Chesapeake Beach follow that EDU. count.
And Chesapeake Beach just redid their water and sewer manual.
Well,
Last
that's in the- this
2
is
years,
in
a
their
year,
current
2 years ago.
manual.
So
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
then
just
this,
flow down
this
from
one
that,
was from the
basically.
original 1995 agreement. Hopefully that might be the next step to look at that and redo that, but that's the one that, when Chesapeake Beach redid their manual, this is the current one that they're using.
Thank you.
Each town or each partner has a number of EDUs that you can use. And then once you get to that point, you're basically capped out. One of the things that we've been pushing for a long time is go off of flows, not EDUs. Because our flows are definitely, we monitor our flows all the time. So that's going to come across y'all's plate probably in the next couple months down the road is all the stuff with the wastewater treatment plant. So that's going to be that's going to be a long conversation. But for now, this falls in line for what we need as a town and will not be changed based upon anything that happens to the wastewater treatment plant. Anything else?
Are there any plans coming up to do any capital improvements to the wastewater plant? I mean, there was a whole time, there was a lot of things going
I
on.
think
Is there
they're out of
anything that's going
space.
around?
Yeah, they do have a couple projects. We've been going to the quarterly meetings. We started that with the mayor. And we've been going to quarterly meetings, so we get updates on, they have issues with upgrade that they did to the plant not too long ago, unfortunately. And we had not much input on that at all, but we are trying to get more and more input and more what's going on. But they have some filters that need to be covered. Right now, they have a problem with algae growing on the filter, so it's a pretty expensive project. So you gotta actually put covers, because what that algae does, it clogs up all the filters, backs up everything. And then when we have a heavy rain, or that's why this treatment plant is such a hot topic, because everybody's getting close to their peak. We're not really close, but when it rains, they have issues at the plant because of the flows. So any poor operation of the plant could cause a spill, and then that potentially could cause a fine for Chesapeake Beach, and then they're gonna come back to the partners. And
Yeah,
that's where all the flow comes into
Yeah.
play.
I
But they
remember
have
that.
one,
that-
that's one
yeah,
big one,
spill.
and they're also looking at upgrading the headworks, which is the main area where all the flow comes in from the partners and I've worked at that plant. When I started working with Calvert County in 1989, I was superintendent running that plant, and that well hadn't changed since then. So it's probably, that is definitely, and that just backs up the flow. So when it's all trying to come in there, it can't get in the
So it's
plant,
gotta-
and then it backs up in the lines and backs up Seagate and, starts going back out, and it can't flow correctly. So that is
Those are
a
the
much needed.
things with them.
Um,
And as we
They're having
get
the same problem with
information that we can
contracts.
pass on, we'll definitely pass it on. Just right now, it's just us producing numbers. They come back and that's it. There's nothing other than that. But we will, once things start moving along, the council will get reports from the wastewater treatment plant. But right now, there's nothing.
or that quarterly report, if you want, we can post that, or important parts of that, like the upgrades or something like that, Ken, if you.
Yeah.
Out of the quarterly meetings, we could keep the council updated that way pretty easy.
Because there's eventually going to be bond bills or something like that if they do something major, and we're gonna get our slice of it that we have to fund. So,
We're opposing a lot of that with our flow meters. We're hoping if Chesapeake Beach wanted to go to flow meters, but unfortunately for them, it showed that we were better at conserving water and our flows were less than what they thought and what they were hoping. Because if you go by the EDU, and not to prolong the meeting, but if you go by the EDU count, we're showing like 93%. We're showing, but our daily flow, we're allowed to put 250,000 gallons of flow to that plant just from North Beach alone, not counting Calvert County. Most days we're at 150,000. So we still have 90,000 gallons of capability to send to the plant. Us and Calvert County combined is 450,000 gallons a day, and most days we're at 225. But if we do get a rain, we're looking into infiltration, then we might be up to the 460. But if you listen to the meetings, they're trying to say North Beach is at 93%, which that's by
EDU,
the engineering numbers where the mayor's saying that EDU count is so critical, that 200 gallons a day. So that's where.
Any other questions? Before we move on to trash?
I have a question.
Yes.
So it's kind of left in limbo what the next steps are, so. Daniel come back to the March work session and then
Yes. So obviously get comments up to that, and then we'll bring it back to a work session, discuss it one more time, and then we'll send it to Karen.
Please feel free to email questions between now and, questions come up when you have time to read it.
We'll go to the March work.
also purchasing policy ordinance, will that be a March work session
Yes.
discussion and then?
Then we'll close it out, yay or nay, to move it forward. Think about it and bring it back. Right. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's move into the final item on the D, discussion of the town North Beach Waste Management request for proposal. As you know, we're coming up to the final 6 months of the contract that we currently have. So you have two parts that you were given. Part one is the actual I don't know how to break it, but the second, I'll tell you, the more important part is the second part, the bid form contractor's bid. The first one tells you all what each definition means and so forth. The second part would be the contract, what they bid on. And then, I don't know if it's in here yet, but they will receive, yes, a copy of the contract with the bid proposal. So there will be no confusion over what the contract says before they get to that point. The first part is us deciding what do we want to put on, what is the best interest to get it out there. Now, you see an issue date on the front of it, but
That's just a
it's just a placeholder. That's not the issue date. We're gonna have we're gonna have another meeting about this, another public meeting. So, don't get caught up with that date. But if you go to the page 17, and again, we can go back to all the pages you want to, but page 17 is where there's parts A, items. And the last bid that we did was 3 years ago. We asked for different pricing. I believe we had 3 or 2 companies submit proposals. Can't remember. I know definitely 2. It was 2. They pulled out at the last minute.
3 altogether, 1 pulled back.
So in here, it talks about the current situation of Monday and Friday for trash, Wednesday for recycling. We have it where they pay the tip fees. We have it where we pay the tip fees. We have prices for them providing trash cans, them providing newer recycling cans, which I want us to really dig deep on the trash cans and the recycling cans. But it's all in here to get the numbers. This is out there. What we need to do is what else do we need to add? What else do you want to see? When it comes to the housekeeping part, make sure they pick up trash, make sure they pick up after the holiday, make sure they pick up trash they drop on the concrete on a road. If they miss one, they got to come back. That's housekeeping that we can do within the contract. The pricing is where and how what y'all want to see is what y'all need to discuss tonight. And again, we'll discuss it again. We'll get input from the 2 HOAs. They have a copy of this now. It's out there on board docs. Of what we want to do. We will do our best to get more bids this time. We do, like always with RFPs. We do our best to get multiple bids, but we can't make people bid. Other than that, I'm gonna leave it to y'all now at this point. You have it in front of you, and tonight's about discussion. Just having a conversation.
Would, this is the rest of the council for an idea, would be worth putting out an alternative for once a week in the off season, but our in season, and say May 1st to October 1st, doing a twice a week pickup. Is that something that would be worth entertaining, putting it out, sort of have like a split year where when we generally aren't as busy here in town, possibly one pickup a week, but then in the summer, when the temperatures go up and things start to smell bad and go bad, increasing the pickup to twice a week for trash.
Isn't it set up that way, though? If you look at the pickup for the
Right.
municipal waste,
Right now, bid alternative A is twice a week.
for municipal? Or residential?
I'm talking residential.
Okay, because I don't have an
So-
off-season trash wise in my house.
So-
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
I'm more
I
thinking,
did.
yeah, I was more thinking like, hey, it's the summer, crabs are in and you have a crab feast on Saturday and they just did pick up Friday and the next pickup's the following Friday. So that's what I'm more or less trying to wrap around, because I know we're trying to go, there have been different people at different times saying once a week is good. Because we should be recycling more, we're cutting back on the trash and everything. And in my head, I'm still thinking, but the other side of trash is it smells and it's not necessarily great to have sitting around. Depending on, small families don't make a lot of trash, big families do. Big families who recycle are amazing and they don't have a lot of trash. So you have all the gambits left and right. So I'm just trying to find a balance point if everybody's trying to like force one. Like I'm in favor of two, because I've seen even with two pickups, small families having 5 cans. So I know in some places it's hard if it's just once a week and they are a big family, but their way to get the trash can out is problematic. One of that is in the townhomes where they're deadlocked in the middle. How do they get their can to wherever they need to go? And some of them don't have really backyards or back common area to get that can out that way. So I'm just trying to figure that out and try and satisfy 75% of the town. So I don't know if it's worth throwing that alternative in to see what the numbers come in, because we know the numbers are going to be high. And then this all goes to the special assessment on the tax bill. So this is a pass down.
Yeah, I'd follow up on that. I think we should look at some other alternatives as well. Because like one of the things that kind of drives me nuts is kind of like we were saying there, is you can have one neighbor that puts out, one little trash can a week, and another neighbor that's like, they throw a whole house every week or something. I don't know where all this trash comes from. And they're paying the same amount. So the same way we kind of went through this issue with the water, it would be nice if we can come up with a better solution that would sort of address some of this. You pay what you use for some of this stuff too. So maybe we could do something like, okay, everybody gets one can, and then if you want more, you could somehow work with the contractor or whatever to get additional cans they can pick up or something. This is another potential alternative. I think the problem is the same thing. Like, how do we kind of make this a little more equitable throughout town, whether it's one pickup a week, 2 pickups a week, some level of, pay what you use type thing. Yeah.
Just one thing for the council to keep in mind, and not to interrupt any of the council members, but when you, when you have a contractor comes in from a contractor point of view, he's gonna have this equipment, personnel and trucks. So if you say you want this many days, then, you might not save a lot. And Paul, I agree with you. It'd be nice to be able to do that, but I don't know how he would schedule his, if he has to buy 4 trash trucks to handle the volume in the summer. I don't know what else he would do with those 2 trash trucks, as once he bids, whether he's counting on North Beach for the whole amount, for the whole year. Or whether he might be able to find, if another neighborhood would do that, then maybe he could jump over there. But his staff and all, what I mean? So just keep that in mind. I don't know if we would save a lot because of the employees. He has to hire 4 employees to do the summer, just say for a round number. Then if he had to cut back to 2, could he do that? Because what is he gonna do with the other 2 employees and things like that is what, we
so the
kind of
seasonal
heard from
aspect of it.
contractors before, if they built up a 12-person manpower and 4 trucks to handle North Beach, if you tell him, no, 6 months, we're not gonna need them, then what would he do with them? Be the only thing. But, I'm not saying they couldn't do something else with them, but I don't know how easy it'd be for them to do
Well,
that part of it.
What about, Paul, you mentioned the pay as you go or fee for service. I mean, I know you guys have gone through this 3 years ago. Is that a feasible option where residents could opt in or out of trash pickup?
I mean, I've heard different stories about this, and some people are like, well, logistically, we can't do that. But at the same time, you look at the rest of the county, it doesn't have municipal trash pickup. That's exactly what happens, right? People pay, I don't know what companies are around,
Right.
to come pick up their trash. And these companies aren't just running around and picking up random trash. I mean, they know who they're supposed to be picking up from and how much trash they're supposed to be picking up. So someone is able to calculate this and do this logistically.
Right.
It seems like maybe we could combine both where we've got, okay, everybody gets one can. If you want more, there's options to make that happen.
I think that's a problem. The citizens here pay taxes, and those property taxes, a part of those property taxes pay for them to have this service. And I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with picking up twice a week. Is that a problem? Do we have a problem with that? I'm not being sarcastic, I'm being serious.
To me.
So why are we trying to tinker with this? It's not broken. It's just my wife and I in the house, and trust me, we fill up the trash can almost every Monday and Friday. Don't ask me where it comes from, but it's there. Maybe it's the two cats and the pet, the
I
dog,
use your
but
trash can
trust me.
sometimes.
oh, I know you do. Look, let's not create a problem for ourselves. And I've heard from some citizens that are like, what? We're gonna go to one day? They're not happy about it. Now, granted, I've only talked to 3 or 4 people, but if it's not broken, why are we tinkering with it?
But isn't the discussion right now and kind of what Paul raised is whether some people could choose to go one day versus others do 2?
How do you manage that? How do you handle that? How does the staff keep up with that? How are we, that,
I wasn't
you're
saying-
creating a nightmare.
I wasn't saying a day. You still have 2 pickups.
Oh, okay.
But you get 1 can for each day. And if you want additional cans that you can put stuff out on,
Oh,
that's how it works.
okay.
Because I assume that's how it's working for everybody in Calvert County that's going through these other services, that's how that's done, right? So, and this is something that we wouldn't have to manage internally. It's something that can be managed through the contractor, that the citizens engage directly with the contractor if they want additional trash pickup. That's just an example. I'm not saying this is the ideal thing. I'm just throwing this as an idea to maybe deal with some of this. And it's not just pure taxes, Greg. I mean, there's a special assessment for this, right? That everybody's paying essentially the same for this, even though their level of service is drastically different if you walk around and look at what's going on throughout town.
Mm-hmm. Now, back up, say that what you just said prior to that. Because when you said that, you threw me off. But there was something you said I wanted to comment about. It'll come back to me.
About keeping the 2
Oh,
days.
about the citizen dealing directly with the contractor. But the contract is with the town, it's with the government. It is not with the resident. And I don't think we want them getting involved with calling the contractor about trying to negotiate when they want trash picked up or something to that effect. Am I off here or what?
But Chesapeake Beach, not for the twice weekly, I think they do once weekly residential pickup, but for their bulk pickup, residents in Chesapeake Beach contact the contractor. They want bulk pickup. And that's the way it's set up.
That's
which-
bulk pickup. That's different. We even have a
Well,
different.
I mean, it is different, but the point is that you said that there could be a contracting issue, and if you can do it for bulk pickup, you should be able to do it residential. Not that I think it's a good idea, but for bulk pickup, I mean, that is actually a question I wanted to pose to council. Do you think, and staff as well, because I don't know how burdensome it is for residents to call you and ask for bulk pickup, and, would it be more efficient if residents wanted bulk pickup just to contact, as they do in Chesapeake Beach, the hauler directly?
Why we like to keep it in-house. Resident calls and says, my neighbors had out 2 couches and a chair.
Uh-huh.
I can see if we're scheduled to pick up that week, so we.
So it's not a problem. You live in Chesapeake Beach.
I live in Chesapeake. Yes.
And I've used bulk pickup, half a dozen times. I've had no problems at all. They'll call in, say this is what it is, general idea of what it is. They pick it up that day, and no problems.
I just wonder what they do with it, because they took a couch for me and I don't know if it would fit in the trash truck or not.
It's gone.
Now,
I-
I'm-
And I do know Shannon does ask what you're putting out.
Right.
So they
Right.
can gauge, what they're picking up and how much space.
if they're gonna get like 5 sofas,
Yeah.
I know,
Which people will put out anything if they are allowed and there's no control, so.
I'll go along with Phil's idea, maybe if maybe get a little bit of clarity, is that how you would charge the resident is by the number of cans that they get. If we're regulating, these are the cans you're going to use. You can't use outside of these. So if one family has decided we only need a can, this is how much we charge you. You need 2 cans, and I'm not talking twice a week. I'm perfectly happy with that. But they would be charged a different rate if they have 2 cans or 3 cans, depending on how they are, to modulate of those who don't have a lot and those who have, oh my God, every week. So I think that's something we should explore. I'm not quite sure how to do that, but at least you have a unit like we're doing with the EDU of it is a can and the size of the can is X. I don't know what the size would be. And then if people need more, then they either it would be through us or to the company. They have 2 cans and we know that's easy accounting. Just say you have 2 cans. We're going to charge you X for each can or double. I think that's a way to deal with it. And of course, not charge it all for recycling. For that can, because we want to encourage people to do it. I think it's something we should explore.
Can a resident choose 0 cans?
They have no trash?
Well, they might just want to not pay anything and just take it to the dump themselves. I mean, just a
I mean,
question.
I don't think it was only like for a bulk one that I had to do myself, and that is a long haul.
There could
I
be
was
people who
stuck.
don't want to pay. I mean, who can't or don't want to. It's just,
I mean, I don't know how many people would do that. I mean, it's so
my
convenient.
grandmother does that.
Really?
She's very cheap.
Okay, well. But right now, since we're all paying the same rate, you could be 0 to 5.
1 for 5.
Yeah,
Like,
you're headed for the 5. So I think it's something to explore. That way we can also get a sense of how much, how much
it-
trash do we have?
Question.
Yeah.
Your contract is up with SMR June 30th. Time is of the essence right now for that, and we discussed last go around doing that kind of particular program with recycling. Where we are now, I'm not sure we have the
Time
time
to
to
do that?
explore
Okay.
that type of option right now. For trash can or.
Okay.
I know there are towns that do it for recycling. They have a barcode and they scan it. Deduction off of their trash bill.
Because they recycle.
Well,
Okay.
why is that research on our side? Why can't we just put that as a bid option and then it's.
Just
the
see what they come back
contractors-
with.
I mean, it's up to them to figure out how to do it.
Maybe put it at 6 months, put it as an option, you could change in 6 months, right? That's what you're saying, like, we do the contract, but you also put something in the contract saying in 6 months, we're looking at this and we might change something. You mean?
We have.
I'm thinking more so as like an option, like for the actual bid, right? Here's one
One option.
thing to bid on, here's another thing to
Yeah,
bid on,
okay.
and yeah.
Just see what they come. They might have a good idea. They might
Just so we have clarity real quick, what is that option? Spell it out.
Okay, well, let's
cost
see.
per can. It's like an EDU, but it's a trash EDU. It's a TDU.
So add an option that they can charge per can.
They can charge.
The more cans you have, the more you pay.
But we had to give them guidelines.
Well,
Like,
I think for simplicity, I think it should just be like, let's do 1 can per household. With the option to add, the households can add additional cans on top of that,
For X amount of.
or
just
yeah,
trying to-
some.
but, I mean, obviously we'll do this, but guys, I mean, we're really, I don't even know how would you, I mean,
I'm just trying
I
to, I'm
don't-
looking here at the bid. I'm
you
just
know,
trying to- how it's done as just a flat rate all along. Is that right? I'm just trying to get back to it. I missed it.
I mean, again, I don't think it's that impossible because they're doing this already in Calvert County. This is exactly how it works. If you don't live within North Beach, Chesapeake Beach, this is how you're getting your trash taken away unless you're taking it
We
yourself.
could copy their language.
well,
Well, that's individually.
non-municipalities are doing it that way,
Yeah,
not
that's individual.
Well, I'm just
municipalities.
saying, in order, you said it might be hard to write, so there is a models out there if we want to just put it in this RFP and just see what the contractor
I'm-
comes back with.
It's the contract.
It's that. I'm also thinking how we
Taller.
match it
Better.
for Joanne and special assessment. So for example, like me, I'll get 1 can. Person across the street, they want 2. That has to flag to Joanne to, hey, that property ID needs a higher special assessment for that because they have 2 cans. So I know there's back work on that. And that
Yeah,
may be
that's a good
something worth researching, but I don't know, because I agree with Stacy, the timeline is tight.
Tight, yeah. I mean,
Um,
as I can see, it's done by base lump sum each year, flat out. That's
Yeah.
it. Here's your number. That's what it is.
Give it the number of the.
800 and something.
Don't have tonnage any longer.
Mhm. Do we have the old tipping fee numbers? Cause they'll probably ask that for the B where we pay.
We do not want to give tipping fees because we cannot guarantee those tipping fees were from North Beach.
Tonnage.
We cannot give tonnage. They picked up trash leaving this town.
I know they did.
So what you do is you
called a few
tell them,
times, so-
all municipalities tell them to grab the national average.
Okay,
That is the only fair and safe way to do it.
I'm
Okay.
looking at the town of Poolsville has a RFP out right now for the same thing. Back in February 21st, and it doesn't mention anything about tonnage. All the same information, and one of their ad alternatives is 1 day. We're right in line with like
everybody else.
similar municipality.
I have a question for internal and Donnie. Say we wanted to remove bulk from them, but sort of go back to the old way when the town still had a trash service and dumpsters at the town yard, and we had a dumpster down there just for bulk pickup. And then the residents would call town hall, and then Public Works would go pick up the bulk and put it in the dumpster, then we call for that dumpster whenever it's full. Is that worth entertaining to see if that would back out some of the bulk pickup option that gets pressed out to everybody? If it's something that is managed more internally.
I don't know that, figure it out top of my head, Mickey, so I don't know what they charge for bulk pickup, so I'd have to see.
Well, yeah, and that's
We
what I
don't
was trying to,
Another staff person, and our problem down there at Public Works right now is.
you're running
room-
tight.
Well, room for a dumpster and where to put it and that type of thing.
Yeah, in our contract now, it's not broken out. It's part of the lump sum, the bulk,
Is that the way it is?
bulk pickup.
Yeah. We knew how much that was costing us, we could.
Well, and that's what I was trying to get at, like, is it worth figuring out what bulk pickup, what they value bulk pickup as? And if it's worth even us eventually down the line, looking if it's worth something trying to do more in-house style or not. And I'm just, again, that's going back to years ago when the town had our own trash crew and the Public Works crew was the trash crew. And we ended that for fiscal reasons, among many others. So. But I just know, like, sometimes, like, for example, I missed one bulk pickup by a day. So I was keeping my sofa in my backyard until I could make the next bulk pickup. So, and that happens sometimes with people. Is like, hey, my washer broke, my fridge broke. I don't have time to take it away until the next bulk pickup, and it just happens to be bulk pickup was yesterday. So,
That was the most beneficial thing when the town staff was doing it, because we could do it once a week if we had to.
exactly.
But then, I was kind of leery, but it seems like now that we went to the once a month, that we hadn't had noticed like a lot of stuff sitting on the shoulders or anything, so it's worked out pretty well. People actually plan it, wait on it, and now they've gotten used to it, so it's not
Yeah.
not as much issue as I thought it would be, actually.
Cool. Yeah, if you don't think it's an issue, like,
And
standing
had-
around
we
like it used to
hadn't-
be, so.
We hadn't had many calls, like, I mean, even 2 years ago, we get more calls for stuff sitting out on the shoulder road or sitting in the town right away, but recently we hadn't had that issue. Maybe like last 6 months, I can't really think of it, maybe a
Sweet.
couple of things. In the last 6 months, we probably had to pick up, that was missed on bulk or something
Is
like that.
there anything on?
Down with Greg, nice, mic is on.
I just think we're making this complicated for no reason at all. It's not broken. But I think you all are making a mistake doing this, but that's my opinion. If you want to do it, then obviously I'm one person. I can't stop you, but I think this is a big mistake. And when the citizens find out what we're doing to them or what you're doing to them, then be prepared for the flack, because I can see them not being happy about it. So that's it.
Yeah, I want to go through this a little bit more in detail, but I think there's something broken here, right? And the same reason that we went through and we did this with the water, it's the exact same thought process here of conservation and pay for what you're using. I'm not sure it would hurt just to get bids on this, not say we have to even do it. Maybe there's not a difference in price and, I don't know. But I think it would be something at least be worth looking into from a bid perspective. If we can come up with something that seems like a reasonable plan. And I don't think it should be put out there in place of what we have here already. But if we can do something that's in tandem with that, to look at the way those options, and we're actually looking at all this, I don't think it hurts anything.
All right. Ken?
I'm second what, Paul's saying about it is, it's, and I understand the time frame. And if we had thought about, well, the previous council had thought about something like this a year ago, then maybe then we'd have time, but you're right. We're running into a deadline of trying to craft something like that. So maybe something to our the future councils that are needed, at least, this is going for a minimum of 3 years, right?
Yes.
Okay.
3-year
So
contract.
it could be, no, it could be in fact the same council. At least then give a little bit of runway next time of saying, well, let's see what we can do. But I like the idea, but I understand the time press. So maybe this time around won't happen because we just can't do it. Next time we should.
Well, it's going to beat on the bid process.
Yeah.
It's going to give, y'all going to have all of this to
Yeah.
decide on. So timing has no bearing on this. What we're going to do is put it out there for the contractors to tell us what they can do, what they can't do. So at the end of the day, on our part, staff and part, all we're going to do is put down on the bid process what y'all want us to put down. At that point, y'all discuss it and decide. If the companies come back and say, no, we can't do that, then that then that's the way it is. But it's really no time on our part. There's no time delay for us to write that line on that piece of paper. It's up to the contractor to decide if they want to, they might say NA. But, so we don't have to hold this up. We can put it out there. There's no delays. There's no rushing. We're not behind the schedule. We're fine. We're just going to put one more line on there.
Yeah, and ask the question and get more information.
That's it. And if it goes
And then-
nowhere, then y'all have the right to vote whatever way y'all want to vote.
Yeah, it shouldn't be required that they have to bid on both options. I mean,
No.
if nobody bids on that option, maybe we're crazy and it's not even a thing, but
So the timing is not bad. So we're fine. All we're doing is putting a line there.
It
That's
looks
it.
like it could fit something in part C where it says alternate pricing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Part C will have it on there.
Yeah.
And
Say
then
they
we'll
bid by Ken.
all right,
That's going to be a guess. but-
Lauren, what do you have?
I have a question for council. What do you guys think about adding a hazardous waste pickup day? Adding it to the summer, spring cleanup, adding a hazardous waste dumpster or something separate? So, that kind of stuff doesn't end up where it shouldn't.
I mean, like paint and oil and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, or
Yeah. I mean, other communities have, Annapolis for one, they have hazardous waste pickup days and, like store your paint or whatever that you shouldn't be throwing away in the garbage and it's picked up by the hauler. I mean, it could just be, again, like another little line item we put in there.
Yeah.
How much would this cost? How hard would it be to do?
4 times a year,
I was thinking once a year.
once a year.
I mean, I don't know about most, but the other communities I've lived in have done it once a year.
Oh, they would come down to the quote municipal center. They'd bring whatever is the hazardous thing and then they'd have a truck there. That's
People-
that
and
sort of thing.
people Show up. I mean, they have all kinds of stuff. And the good thing about it is if people know that they're gonna have an easy way to deal with it without driving it to the dump, they'll store it in their garage. And when it's that day, they'll show up and bring the items there and be disposed of in a hazardous waste landfill properly.
is there some kind of,
Yeah, but it's just, except for tires, Greg. There's a tire dumpster, but they might be able to just have a hazardous waste dumpster and we can do it the same day.
All the way down to what?
yeah,
Yeah, it's,
And it's a line
It's a line item. It's just a line item. Let's just see.
1 year, one time a year.
One time a
hazardous-
year, how much it costs? Is it feasible for them to do? I don't know. Maybe they don't have hazardous waste dumpsters. Who knows? But we could
yeah,
ask.
it looks like it has its collection. Yeah.
Anything else? You good?
I have others
Oh, you do?
editorial comments, but I'll send those to you.
Yeah, yeah. What about
Stacy.
any changes for options you want to put out there?
No, I mean, like you said, it's a line item. You can put it down, you can get a price, you can see where you are. I mean, I am a small household. I have one trash can and it works, but every once in a while, I need more. So what do you do about that? That's my only thing. I mean, sometimes I'm like, wow, I have a lot of trash this week, and it's just like around the holidays, there's all kinds of things where you're gonna run over with the one trash can, but I'm fine with the 2 pickups a week and, but let's get a price, let's get a line item, let's write it in, let's see what it is and just go from there. That's really all we can do right now. And I'm good with hazardous waste. I like that idea.
And if you have.
I mean, good with disposing of it.
Oh,
Have
know.
extra trash, Greg lives on Atlantic.
Atlantic,
Yes.
okay, yeah. I know where Greg
all right. So just so I'm clear, right now, part A is twice a week, trash, once recycling, tipping fees included, and then the dumpsters as needed for whatever we have in the bid.
Yes.
B is same as A, except we cover the tipping fees.
Yes.
And then C is what's the fee if we have to add a house, like there's a brand new house, what's that fee, adding it mid-year or something, which happens. And then what would it be if the contract provided trash cans and recycle cans? I would say probably break that apart and write like trash can, recycle can, because they could be different costs. I don't know. And I would even like put a mark in there and like size. So they could tell us what size they provide at that cost. And then it does when you're talking trash.
It does, seriously, like, I'm not kidding you, small trash can is no good.
And then it sounds like we're gonna do some type of option. I'm gonna say it's D maybe. Where all the dumpsters we need to be figured out. Yes, but they're also related in B, but we pay the tipping fees. So like A and B, it looks like the main difference was who's paying the tipping fees. Right? And B is the town pays more or less. So then C was more or less like, hey, if we have to add a house, what's it cost? And then the second part of C was if you provide cans. Would that be separate though, as like it's a whole new, would it be a whole new D as the residential, because we'd still need the dumpsters everywhere else. So we'd still need some numbers for the dumpsters, or are we able to piecemeal? Okay, we can piecemeal from A and B. So like the town, okay.
What I.
Like we cover the tipping fees for the town yard because we have more controls on that versus they estimating or got it. Okay.
It's like a à la carte
Okay.
section, and then if you decide to use them for the dumpsters, then you.
Okay.
go with the dumpsters.
Okay.
Like a à la carte menu.
A la dumpster.
I did not necessarily fine
A la
tooth read
dumpster.
this. Could that be written in there somewhere that that's how our decision will be made? I didn't fine tooth read it and that stand out to me that like, hey, we could pick the contractor paying the tipping fees of residential, but we pay the tipping fees on the dumpsters. Because it sounds like that's the decision we can make is just so the contractor knows, hey, they may pick
Yep.
A1, but B2 and 3. Just clarifying to the content, and that could be also explained in the pre-bid meeting too, because I think you're gonna have the pre-bid meeting as well. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Again, I was reading this fast and I felt like I've read it before because it looked like the last one we put out. I did see these numbers are set despite inflation or labor costs changing. I know we added that because I saw that line. So, because that was something I was looking for in this one that wasn't in the last one. Yeah, because that's how in my head I was wrapping around, like having like that D option of being Paul's idea of trying to figure out how we could do a per can fee. And then we'd figure out our housekeeping on the back end if that's the way we went. But pretty much it was still twice a week pickup in all of our options. We did not have a once a week pickup option. So, okay. That was always just those couple things. The breakout of the can price I felt was important to have. So in the sizing.
I mean, the other change is, that we don't have now is, if there's a holiday on a pickup day, they're now required to pick up on the next weekday.
Yeah, and that's in here written. I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. I like that.
Only issue you're gonna have with that is talk to some of these companies that they've already got other routes on that day that's after the holiday. So good luck with them bidding on this contract if that's the way it's gonna be written. They're not gonna wanna do it.
Black and white, there'd be no confusion.
I have for the next day, and I know like the whole statement of, hey, Tuesdays is a rough day because we have to try and pick up everybody from Monday that we missed, or we're gonna skip you, and they already have people on Tuesdays. They're already here on Wednesdays. I don't know how long they take to do the town anymore. I feel like it was maybe half a day.
If they're out by 11.
Okay.
About
Could
11.
we Possibly put that, find out if it's willing to be Tuesday or Wednesday, if they miss the Monday, because they'd already be here in town. Again,
But-
they may have somebody planned for the later part of that Wednesday.
They're picking up recycling on Wednesday though.
I know,
So if we open that Pandora's box up,
I know,
the outcome's gonna be not what we want.
I know. And I'm going with, I know Anne Arundel County does trash recycling on the same day. Because you can drive that way up on Fridays and see both cans out. They have different crews, different trucks picking up different cans, and their cans are bright yellow because Anne Arundel provided everybody over there with yellow cans. It was just, I didn't know if we have pushback on we're not gonna be able to do the next day pickup if we miss. And- Oh, no, like in general,
He's saying change.
always, yeah. I
Wow, Donnie,
I'm
that's a
not
good, that's a good idea.
Yes, that was a long gap.
It addresses a lot of problems. I mean,
I'm okay with that change.
I mean, that sounds, I think it's genius. Oh, sorry.
Please, there's no genius comments when you're talking to DB moving forward.
Because generally Monday's the main day they close down. And if any big holiday falls on the weekend, they observe it the next Monday generally. So if we moved it from Monday to Tuesdays.
No, but we move the permanent day there
Make the permanent day always
Move it.
Tuesday,
Permanent day
Friday.
Tuesday.
all the
Yeah,
time.
Every Tuesday.
Yeah,
So you don't have to worry about,
Yeah.
except like, there are no holidays on a Tuesday. Except
Except-
maybe Christmas. every once
Except
in a while.
certain
Yeah,
floating
It
ones.
floats, but that's.
floaters.
okay.
And then maybe we also just remove that clause of the next day pickup for the holidays. Since
Yeah,
it's
if we-
not really gonna happen very often.
It's so simple. It's so much simpler.
Oh, yes, until
find out that everybody had the same idea on Tuesday. for Pat.
Everyone's on Tuesday.
right. And it could restrict and what Greg said earlier about good luck. I mean, that's the reason why we had what we had. So all of this is great and we'll put it out there and we'll see what comes back and then we can make that decision. But there's a lot of moving parts from contractors, also residents used to Mondays and switching to Tuesday. Trust me, every little change disrupts the,
It just means they it just
The
means the
flow.
cans sit out longer.
Well,
Like they normally.
I know, but definitely we could put it in on the bid form and
Option.
as an option and we'll see what happens. I just don't want to do it too crazy because it's tough to get people to bid on this stuff. It's not simple. We got 2 people and it goes out to probably every trash truck company in a 100-mile radius. As in the MML board, all the so we had two.
But I will say, if we do that, can we move our days to Tuesday, Friday? Put in there the clause of next day pickup. If it's a holiday, like, would not be a fact, like, some way to make that as enticing for them to bid on it. So like right now, we have it, if holidays on a Monday, you have to pick up on Tuesday.
And I-
If we put that option is, hey, what if same bids, but if we put the pickup always on Tuesday and always on Friday, but you don't have to worry about the next day if we happen to have a closure on that Tuesday for some reason.
Yeah.
That should come out anyway.
Take it
if
out.
you're gonna do Tuesday.
Yeah,
just take
I
it
know,
Yeah.
but it just make it out there in the open saying like,
As an option, it makes
just
it
as
more
an
enticing.
optional option to see. Yeah, because that may entice some people to bid. It's like, oh, cool, we don't have to worry about figuring out how to figure out our Tuesdays. They're always on a
Holidays.
Tuesday.
Like make a note. saying,
Yeah. And hey, guess what? We're there the next day on Wednesday anyway. Who knows what will happen then? Wild West. Yeah.
To offer as an option. Well, if you look at.
It's that last one.
Item 3, So
Could-
maybe you
could-
could say, for
could-
example, and then we offer that Tuesday pickup.
Yeah, sort of trigger their mind there, like, hey, what if we did Tuesdays and Fridays pickup? Yeah. Hopefully they read that far. You can laugh, it's okay.
All right, anything else? Because obviously we're gonna make these changes, get them back out, get them back on board docs, get them back to you, everybody, so we can, the conversation is not over. Any other questions before we? On trash? That's, no, let's not. His mic is turned off. All right, council, have any other questions before we make a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Have a second?
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you so much.
Thank you.